Hello, boys and girls. We're going to recap the past and present tense for our grammar starter today. We did look at this last week, but it's always good to go over tenses to make sure that you're using them correctly. So, quick question. What is the difference between the past and the present tense? When is the past and when is the present? Can you remember? Well, the past tense is something that's already happened. It's part of the past. It's part of history that's already happened in the past. Whereas the present tense is something that's happening right now. So the way that you use the verb is a little bit different. For past tense, a lot of verbs end in ed to show that it's already happened, like the word happened in the past. But words in the present tense don't tend to use that. Sometimes words in the past tense don't use ed. Sometimes there are irregular ones, but lots of words in the past tense do use that. So don't get caught out, but do try and remember that because it will help you. We're going to have a look at a couple of questions together to see if you can understand the difference between the past and the present tense. So let's look at this one together. I'd like you to tick to show whether each of the sentences is written in the past tense or in the present tense. So I'm going to show you the sentence, and then you're going to work out, would you tick past, would you tick present? Samir enjoys cooking. Would you tick past or present? Eva laughed at the joke. Past or present? Poppy caught the ball. Past or present? So let's tick the right answer now. Are you ready? So Samir enjoys cooking. Is that something he did in the past or something that he's doing now? It's now, isn't it? He enjoys cooking, so we'll tick present tense for that one. Eva laughed at the joke. Is that something she's done or something she's doing now? She laughed at the joke. It's in the past, isn't it? It's already happened. She laughed at it. If you said Eva is laughing, that would be present tense. The last one, Poppy caught the ball. Is that past tense or present tense? She caught it. That means that she's already done that. If it said that she's catching the ball or catches the ball, that would be present tense. But caught is a past tense word. Remember how I said a lot of the time it uses ed, like in this word, laughed. But it doesn't always work like that. In the word caught, there's no ed there, but it's still a past tense word. So just make sure you read the sentence carefully. Let's do two more problems together. The sentence below should all be in the past tense. Circle one word that needs to be changed. What word do you think needs circling? The swimming pool was closed, so Ted plays in the park. Remember, it should be in the past tense. Which word is wrong? The swimming pool was closed, so Ted plays in the park. Well, the word that should be changed would be plays. Plays would be right now, but it should be written in the past tense, which means that it should be played. So I changed that letter S to an ED to make it played. Let's do one more problem. Rewrite the verb in the box to complete the sentence in the correct tense. Emily run to school and met Lee at the gate. Now, met, that's something she's already done, so that's in the past. So we can't use run. What word would we use instead of run to make it in the past tense? Did you say the answer runned? Emily runned to school to meet and met Lee at the gate. If you said that, it's wrong. That is a common word that people get wrong. The past tense of run is not runned, it's actually ran. Emily ran to school and met Lee at the gate. So you should have ran, not runned. So make sure you don't make that mistake in the future. Okay, well done for recapping the past and the present tense. For the main part of today's lesson, we're going to be looking at conjunctions, and we're going to see if we can write complex sentences using conjunctions. So to be successful, we're going to see if we can write simple sentences, then compound sentences, then complex sentences, and then see if we can write a range of sentences to provide extra detail. So we don't just want all of our sentences to be the same. We don't want them all to be complex or all to be simple, all to be compound. We would like a mixture. So we need to be able to do all of those things to be able to make a mixture of sentences. Simple and compound sentences tend to be easier, but complex sentences can be created quite easily, and I'm going to show you how in the next slide. So I've got some information here about enchiladas, and it says, yesterday I went to the stunning beach and sat next to the crystal clear water eating some tasty, chunky chicken enchiladas with lots of stringy cheese. There was such a variety of enchiladas, but I chose chicken. Now, these two sentences here have got the conjunctions and but. And when you've got and or but in your sentence, it creates a compound sentence. The two parts of the sentence that you have make sense by themselves, but if they weren't joined with the and or the but, they'd still make sense. Those conjunctions make compound sentences, and compound means that two things are joined together. Okay? We're now going to look at the next lot, which is all to do with churros. I visited a family run restaurant which sold freshly made chocolate churros. When I finished, I felt incredibly tired. Now, the two parts of these sentences wouldn't make sense by themselves. That makes them complex sentences. If it says, I visited a family run restaurant, that would make sense as a simple sentence. But if you said, which sold freshly made chocolate churros, just by itself, doesn't make sense. So that makes it a complex sentence. So the conjunction which has made it complex. When you start a sentence with a conjunction, that automatically makes it a complex sentence. But there needs to be a comma, which is missing from here. Where would I pause? After which word would I have a pause? When I finished, I felt incredibly tired. Did you hear me naturally pause at a word there? It was after the word finished, wasn't it? So the comma should go after the word finished to show that those are two separate parts of the sentence. When I finished, doesn't make sense by itself. I felt incredibly tired, does make sense by itself. But because the two parts don't both make sense separately, it's a complex sentence. Have a workout. Do you think that these are compound or complex sentences? I'll read them to you, then I want you to have a think. Mexico serves lots of tacos throughout the year to all of the millions of tourists that visit from around the world. Tacos are great to share with friends, although you could always eat it by yourself. They are super scrumptious. So there's two conjunctions underlined there. We've got that. If you said that visit from around the world, does that make sense? So is it compound or complex? It's complex. The second bit here, if you said, although you could always eat it by yourself, does that make sense by itself? Well, it doesn't, does it? Because you don't know what the person's talking about. So it's got to have the first bit of the sentence in order for that to make sense. So again, compound or complex? It's complex again. I could have rearranged the sentence and had although at the start. I could have said, although you could always eat it by yourself, tacos are great to share with your friends. So you can flip the sentence and start with the conjunction. The last one, they are super scrumptious. What kind of sentence is that? Now, that is just a simple sentence because there's no conjunction there. And it's fine to use simple sentences, but my suggestion would be if you want to make interesting writing, no matter what good vocabulary you use, if you don't use conjunctions, it just doesn't make it very interesting. Now, there's one more mistake in this paragraph here that I wonder if you've noticed that we can fix together. It's to do with punctuation, and it's to do with something that actually shouldn't be there. Have you spotted it? It's this apostrophe here in the word tacos. Remember, we have two reasons why we would use an apostrophe. One, if there's a letter missing in the word. So if it's two words like do and not joined together to make don't, and it's a contraction where there's a letter missing. The other reason is if it belongs to somebody, if there's possession there. And tacos are great. There's no belonging and there's no missing letter. It's not taco is are great. So that apostrophe needs to go. Well done if you spotted that beforehand. Now we're going to have a look at today's task. For the activity today, I would like you to write between 3 and 5 sentences. If you want to challenge yourself, 5 sentences, let me try it again. 5 sentences would be better. But obviously, if you're finding this a bit more challenging, then maybe 3 or 4, but try and aim for 5. You can have a go at either task A or task B. Have a read of the tasks. A says to write simple or compound sentences using about the weather and one of the foods you can eat in Mexico. So you can use conjunctions like and, but, because, or so, or to join those sentences together. But if you want a bit more of a challenge, then task B is to write a range of sentences about what food people can eat when visiting Mexico, the weather, and the landmarks. And for a challenge, I wonder, can you begin a sentence with the conjunction either if, although, or when? I told you how to do although at the start of a sentence, and I know that people have tried when and if before. So maybe for a challenge today, you might want to start your sentence with although. Although something, something else. If you need a bit of help, do feel free to send a message on DB Primary, but have a go at seeing if you can write some sentences using different conjunctions. The list of conjunctions at the bottom for you to use.